So Sod Stubble, the movie, is based on the book Sod Stubble by John Ise. It was written originally in the 1930s, and then a kind of newer, updated edition was written in the 1990s, and I wrote a screenplay based on the book. Well, we really wanted to have a premiere in Kansas, of course, where the story takes place, and we got to have it last night at the Wichita Orpheum, which itself is a historic and great place that's been around for 103 or so years. We had a great crowd. 950 people or so, almost 1,000 people filled the Orpheum, which was fantastic, and the response was very good, and I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, we had, of our kind of lead actors, we had 12 of the principal actors up here. Really, almost all of them were able to come for the premiere event, which is pretty amazing. You know, usually you're lucky if you get, 50, 60, 70%. We got 90% of the primary actors to come last night and today for our events related to the premiere. So today, this morning, we did a Q&A session at Friends University where I teach and work. And this evening, we will be going to Downs, Kansas, where the story takes place, and doing another Q&A kind of meet and greet for the people of Downs. Filming in Kansas is, everybody who lives in the Midwest knows that filming in Kansas is a huge challenge with weather. You know, I think in the film world anymore, we probably consider March and October to be the best filming times. March could still be pretty cold, but you might not be tornadoes yet. October is probably the best. But we filmed this film in June, July, and August, partly because of scheduling, partly because of just the way it worked out timing-wise. And so probably the biggest challenge, physically, was the heat and the everyday, all-day heat of Kansas, which wears you down. Probably added some authenticity, honestly, to the film, though, because it really was the look, the climate, the trees, you name it, of a summer in Kansas. My favorite part of the film was just seeing it all come together. I remember the first day I was in Downs, and here we were filming 2 miles from where this family lived. And you can still go over and see where they once lived. And I remember that day, and I did say to our cast and our crew before we started that day, well, for the first time in 100 and some odd years, Henry and Rosie will be walking in Downs again. And so just to think that our actors were embodying those characters at that moment, and once again, it was like the family was back for a while. And so, yeah, that meant a lot to me. And it was, I think it's also a huge responsibility. I think anytime you do things that are historical or based on a book, it's a huge responsibility. Somebody said to me last night, "Are you ready to do some fiction where you can do what you want?" And I said, yeah, it's appealing, because the responsibility of doing a historical project and a historical film or a film that's well-sourced, it's challenging, because people already have expectations and they want to see what they've had in their eyes and their minds for all the years they've known about the book or the story. Yeah, we've been real fortunate to have several of the Ise descendants in contact with us and appear. 3 or 4 of them were extras in the movie, and a handful of them were here for the premiere as well last night and today for our Q&A. Also descendants of the Barsh family. Probably the Barshes were the best friends of the Ises, and so they figured in the film, and so we've had several Barsh descendants who are still around be with us as well. John Ise, the son of Henry and Rosie, who really was the author. John wrote it with Rosie's help, but John was a longtime professor of economics at KU, almost 50 years, I believe, all the way till almost 1970. So ironically, when we tell stories or I talk, there's still people sometimes in the audience who knew him. I've had people come up and give me some, memories and remembrances of John Ise, the man. The film was entered in the Chandler International Film Festival a couple months ago, and it won Best Western Feature. So that's really the only festival it's been in. And then, of course, it's going to be released in theaters here in about a month, and then it'll be on streaming sometime this summer. A lot of them have started following us through social media, through the Sod Stubble Facebook page. They can also go to sodstubble.com. I notice now information, especially about the theatrical release, is pretty easy to find. Theaters will be being announced here in the next couple of weeks. This story is a Kansas story, but it's an American story. Some of our cast had mentioned that Kansas. One of our cast members said actually today at the Q&A that if I could expose people outside of the United States to America for a short time, I would bring them to Kansas. So I do feel like Kansans, we're at the middle of the country, and in so many ways we are that cross-section of America, the heartland for a reason. And I think that's how this story is to me. It's the story of people who were not from here, who made America very much their home. And this was their dream, to carve out their little piece of America for themselves.